What's up guys, Readiness Reviews here with you again. It's been a while since we've done a video from the office, but this is sort of a special occasion. If you're a collector of military surplus firearms, there's a good chance that you've heard of the company Royal Tiger Imports. I've spoken about them and their products a whole lot here on the channel over the past couple years. RTI is famous, or I suppose infamous, depending on who you talk to, for facilitating the importation of a huge horde of military surplus firearms that have been stored in Ethiopia and Africa. Over the past several weeks, Royal Tiger Imports has been very heavily advertising the fact that they were bringing in another really large shipment of firearms from Ethiopia. I've been super curious about what this supposed massive shipment really contained, and luckily RTI released a video on their YouTube channel fairly recently showing some of the stuff they were bringing in. So in today's video, we're going to cull through that Royal Tiger Imports video and sort of break it down to really find out exactly what's coming into the country. Let's get right into it here. So here's a couple of their shipping crates. This first one is labeled Lee-Enfield number 1 Mark III, and below that it looks like Lee-Enfield number 1 Mark IV. Let's hear what Uli has to say for a moment here.
So this is the first container. What we received, there will be 4 more following.
Well, I think this is a great start so far, and I can't wait to see what else comes in, but there's going to be so much interesting stuff in the shipment.
So just to give you a little idea, so we have Enfield number 1 Mark III, number 4 Mark 1, number 5 Mark 1.
So not only are they bringing in more number 1 and number 4 Enfields, but also some number 5 jungle carbines. Externally, we're not looking half bad. I'm not seeing any major cracks or issues with the stock. It seems to be in very serviceable condition. Right away, I do notice that this has a proper number 5 bolt knob. It has the nice milled type of rear sight. Our barrel band is pretty corroded and rusty. I'm seeing a little bit of what may be rust or just general dirt and grime along the wood line there. The butt plate is very worn. Our rubber pad is rock hard, but that's normal for these rifles. But from what I can see from the bore, it has nice sharp rifling. It is dark, but I believe that will probably clean up some. If the last time they had jungle carbines is anything to go by, the condition of those will probably be pretty hit or miss, but that goes for basically everything RTI is bringing into the country.
All kind of models of the Carcanos, the 8091 rifles, the carbines, the TSs, first and second model, the 38 models, and I think there are some 41s in as well.
So we're getting another big influx of their Carcano rifles. RTI's Carcanos specifically have come in at very aggressive price points. Those are rifles that, although they're not the best shooters, and they're certainly not going to be in the best condition, they're cheap enough to where it still may make sense to add them to your collection.
Mausers, I mean, just name it, just a huge variety of products.
So here's a look at some of the Carcano carbines. These are most likely Mosquito cavalry carbines. This batch here, though, looks to be all TS carbines. It's kind of interesting that they look to be sort of smattered with oil. Judging by the front ends on these, it looks like we do have first model and second model TS carbines. But if we take a look at the rear sights, we can tell a couple of them are long rifle sights, so those are going to be M91-24 rifles, a carbine that was cut down from an M91 long rifle. This random assortment of rifles looks to be mostly Carcanos as well. Looks like we got some M38s, along with various Carcano carbines, it looks like. These 3 crates are all labeled Carcano rifle. The last one here is Carcano Rifle M91, so that's going to be our long rifles. And it looks like we have a pretty sizable stack of those long rifles down here on the ground. Aside from bringing in individual complete rifles, they're also bringing in a ton of parts kits that they're actually preparing in Ethiopia. Due to the laws here in the United States and import restrictions, firearms that are considered machine guns must be properly demilled and cut up before they can be brought into the US, and it appears this Ethiopian horde contained a ton of firearms that would fall into that category. So these are bags of parts kits that have already been cut up and awaiting shipment. In the background here, though, it looks like we have a huge stack of rifles, and judging by the mixed in brass butt plates, I'm going to say those are probably Lee-Enfield rifles. So even though RTI has been blowing through Enfields for years now, it looks like they still have a lot left in reserve. Just the sheer magnitude of rifles here is very impressive. This is another shot of those same Lee-Enfields, but we have another huge stack almost up to the rafters over there on the left-hand side. These French revolvers are pretty interesting, and a new addition to RTI's lineup as far as I know. If these 2 are anything to go by, though, it looks like the condition is really rough. Still cool to see something new, though. Look at the sheer number of rifles in this shot. It looks like a lot of these are rifles that would be cut down into parts kits, but I see a whole bunch of bolt action rifles as well. Unfortunately, it's really hard to make out any of these individually. I can see some Mausers here, though. This one particularly looks like a Car 98. I see Enfield butt plates. I see Carcano butt plates. I see Moloker rifles, so I'm guessing these stacks are just a variety of various Milsurps. Lots of number 1 Enfields here, some Mannlicher rifles over here, and these look like pretty much all Carcanos. Look at all these FAL parts kits. In the video, Uli says that there is a mix of Israel and Colombian contract FAL parts kits from FN here. He gave us a close-up on this beautiful Israeli example. Too bad it's marked there to be cut up. In this pile of lee-Enfields down here, we can see the nose cap from a number 1 Enfield. But right here, there's a barrel poking out, so that looks to be a long Lee. Lee Metford, Lee Speed, something of that nature. Very interesting guns, one that I still want to add to my collection. Now these 1912 Steyr handguns are a new one from Royal Tiger Imports. They have not offered these before, as far as I know. These are a relic from the First World War. Really impressively large semi-automatic handguns, but chambered in a non-standard 9mm cartridge, so getting your hands on ammunition can be very difficult. Looks like we also have a few Walther PPs on the side over there. Tons of different types of machine guns, both heavy machine guns, light machine guns, submachine guns, all of which must be demilled before they can be imported to the US. Really cool batch of Sting guns here, but these look to be in really rough shape, lots of rust, and they look really banged up. This really excites me though. A huge stack of US M1 carbines. The M1 carbine may be the best condition firearms RTI has ever offered. They had a very attractive price when RTI first started bringing them into the country, but over the years it has crept up and up and up, and now they're pretty darn expensive. The M1 carbine that I received from RTI was an inland example, and if I had to grade it, I would say it is very good condition. It came a little bit dirty, but cleaned up easily enough. It did have a few dings, dents, and scratches, but no major damage, no rust, and the bore is in fantastic shape. It has turned out to be a fantastic shooter and super reliable. My particular example is one of my absolute favorite firearms in my entire collection, and I'm so glad that I got it when I did. I am happy to see there are so many of these left over. We got a pile of G3 rifles, it looks like a few Mausers here, and another long lee-Enfield, a corner full of FAL rifles, and this looks to be sort of a reject stack of broken and damaged Mannlicher straight pull rifles and carbines. Who knows, those might be offered to us as C-grade rifles in the future. Pile of Mausers here. Now the condition on this batch doesn't look that great. I mean, right here we can see one with the stock that's broken in a couple places. We got loose or missing barrel bands on a few of these. This receiver is completely separated from the stock, and a lot of these rifles do have stock damage, dings, nicks, scratches, cracks. As far as firearm condition goes with RTI, their rifles chambered in 8mm Mauser, which most of these Mausers would be. From what I've observed, tend to have the poorest condition bores of basically any firearm RTI offers. From what I'm seeing, this stack looks to have a mix of Yugoslavian and German Mausers at the very least. This is all Mannlicher carbines, it looks like. Some of these look to have full-length rifle sights, despite being a short carbine length, so that indicates that they have been shortened from an original long rifle. Now that could have been done by an arsenal in Austria or Bulgaria, but in some cases, these long rifles were also shortened locally in Ethiopia, which makes for an interesting, unique rifle, but they're usually in pretty terrible shape. Here's another look at the sheer number of M1 carbines. All these in the background look to be M1 carbines. It's pretty cool to see they had so many Bren guns. I didn't know those made it to Ethiopia. So this shipment is consisting of 5 full shipping containers. You can fit a lot of firearms in 5 shipping containers. Check out all these crates, G3 parts kits, Bren parts kits. So over the past year or so, I started getting a little bit worried that Royal Tiger Imports Horde was starting to run a little bit low because they sort of switched a little bit and began offering firearms as individual listings instead of everything being random lots. From what this video shows though, it looks like they still have a lot more firearms to import, so maybe we'll still have this Milsurp resource of the Ethiopian Horde for a good while longer. I am a little bit disappointed to see that there were very few new things in this lot. Of course, we got a couple new handguns we haven't really seen before, but as far as rifles go, it's pretty much all the same stuff that RTI's had for the past couple years, with the addition of tons of parts kits. And if they're spending their time processing parts kits, that again makes me think that maybe the overall stock of the Ethiopian Horde is dwindling at least a little bit. Earlier this year, I put out a detailed video covering 3 years of Royal Tiger surplus firearms and my personal experiences with ordering from them. If you want to check that video out, I will link it right up here for you. I certainly recommend that video to anyone considering a RTI firearm. I feel like I've had very honest coverage of Royal Tiger imports in the past. I show you guys the good and the bad, and at points maybe I've been a little hard on them, but some of you might think I've been a little too soft on them. Despite some of the issues with the Royal Tiger imports, the biggest of which is firearms condition, I am still very glad that they are in the market, that they are bringing these firearms into the United States for our collector market to enjoy. Yes, they can be really worn out and junky, but in my opinion, something is better than nothing, and with as little Milsurp inventory as there have been the past few years, Royal Tiger imports has been a huge injection into the arm of the market. Whether or not I'll order anything from this big shipment is completely up in the air. At the moment, I've acquired most of the firearms from RTI that I kind of wanted, but I want to know what you guys think. Was there anything that you saw in today's video that you would like for me to acquire for the channel to show on camera? And let me know if anything specific caught your eye. There was a lot to see in this particular video. I want to say a huge thank you to you guys for checking the video out. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of my future videos, and I will catch you in the next one. See you then. Peace.